What is up YouTube? And today we're going to be talking all about ruby farming. Now ruby farming is the main farming point of this game because you'll be able to farm, as it says, rubies to help you summon, but also to buy more keys, which is basically the energy in this game. Ruby farming is going to be the main core gameplay loop that you do. It will give you a ton more summons, a ton of new characters, which we'll talk about from fusing, and you'll also be able to get some rewards from the Ruby Farming Expedition event going on right now, which you definitely want to try to finish by just Ruby farming a lot. You're going to see you're going to have to do it a ton of times, but you're going to do it eventually anyways, and it can all be done offline or even in the background. You just have to start up the repeat battle whenever it ends. So basically the premise of Ruby farming, if you click it, it actually explains it very well. It kind of goes in a square, like a circle here, so it might be confusing, but basically you're going to be farming the -1 stage, so the first stage of a chapter, for the hardest one you can do. And the reason why is because it'll give you just more currency to drop, more gold, and you're just getting more materials from the dungeons. However, there's going to be certain EXP breakpoints. From chapter 2 to chapter 7, for example, it will cost the same amount of runs to level a fodder card from level 1 to level 30. Fodder is basically the small minion cards that you get while just playing through adventure, and you're trying to level them up to 30 because there is a quest in the missions where if you level up a hero to level 30, you get 20 rubies, and this never goes away. It's going to repeat on the same characters, so that's why we're using that fodder, and it says reach hero level 30 here. So you're basically just carrying your 4 fodder with a carry unit, which is why Tio, who's running on the current banner, is just like an insane character to reroll for and summon for, because he is one of the best farmers in the game, because he has his AoE attack on 2 skills, so he can one-shot the first wave with the skill and then one-shot the second wave. So that's basically how you set up the Ruby farming. You're bringing Tio or another character with 2 AoE attacks with 4 fodders, because you're going to be repeating in one of these stages to level up your trash mobs to level 30, and even just whatever characters you have. It doesn't have to be just trash mobs. You can also use your legendary characters you want to level to 30, and even your rare characters as well. Now, when you're considering where you want to farm, you can see that it does tell you down here you gain more EXP in higher regions, which is true. But the amount of runs you need to level up a fodder card from 1 to 30 is going to be the same for some of the stages that are close by. So the first breakpoint is 1-1. This is going to take you about 20 rounds to level up. The next breakpoint is going to be 2 to 7. So what I mean by that is from chapter 2 to chapter 7, wherever you farm in any of these chapters, it's going to cost 14. The next breakpoint is going to be from chapter 8 to 10. It'll cost you 13. Next chapters will be 11 to 13. This is going to take you 12. Then anywhere above that, starting from 14, even into Nightmare, it's going to take you 11 runs. So these are kind of the breakpoints, right? You want to start doing it at 2-1 or 8-1 or 11-1 or 14-1 and into Nightmare, because Nightmare will give you more fodder, which is unlocked after beating chapter 15. So basically those are the breakpoints. I recommend, kind of writing it down. If you're really close to unlocking something like 8-1 and you're just not there because you're not going through adventure, definitely push for it, because it will save you keys in the long run and it will give you more rubies. Now, on top of that, you can also farm the story event. This actually gives you the most EXP per run, especially if you do A6. However, the thing is, you don't get any fodder drops. So although it seems like it's the best to farm, because you are getting the most EXP, so you're getting the least amount of runs to max your characters, and you're getting this currency to buy out the shop. Once you actually buy out the shop, it's not really worth it. And 2, since you don't get fodder drops from ruby farming, whereas regular adventure stages do, you will run out of fodder very quickly, making it so that you kind of get into a phase of the game, not phase of the game, but you kind of get stuck until you get more fodder from just like daily drops and daily check-ins. So not really the most efficient way, even though it technically gives you the most EXP. I don't really recommend it too much unless you're just planning to buy out the shop, just because of the fact that you do run out of fodder very, very quickly. So I prefer farming in the adventure stages by a larger margin. So basically you're just doing your fodder farming, your ruby farming like that. You're getting rubies from the mission I showed you. And then with those rubies, what are you doing? You should not be summoning actually. A lot of people think that, you're just going to be summoning in this game as soon as you get it, and that's why we're doing this. No, you want to keep a very healthy stockpile of rubies. I recommend currently right now at this point in the game about like 5,000 rubies at the very least. And if you're thinking, oh, I'm free to play, doesn't that mean like if I'm not going to refresh my keys and stuff like that, I should just be summoning? No. You should be saving your keys and saving your rubies even more so if you're free to play. And the reason why is because, like I just mentioned, what you can do if you go to the shop here and go to the exchange shop is trade in your rubies for these keys. Now it's going to cost you 50 rubies for the first 50, then it costs you 80, and then it'll cost you 100. So for free to play players, I recommend always buying out the 50 rupee stockpile. So that's going to be 2,500 rupees a day. The reason why is because when you start farming from adventure mode 2, you actually make back the rubies. You don't lose any rubies in the process. So this is really good because, you're just getting rubies for free basically, and on top of that getting bonus rubies. And then you're also going to be getting a ton of these fodder cards leveled up, which is going to be very important. So you definitely want to make sure you're buying out the ruby keys at least until package A, which is going to be the 50 ruby bundle. You still get the same amount of keys. It's not like it's going up if they get more expensive. Now the 80 ruby bundle, it's really up to you. If you have enough time, if you have enough fodder, you can do it, especially after like chapter 11 is when it starts being really worth it. But for free-to-play players, it's pretty hard to do it because you're limited on the amount of repeat battles you can do if you're free to play. And also you might run out of fodder if you're not farming into nightmares. So because of that, the second package, the second 50 bundle, gonna be not really worth it for free to play, but if you do have a lot of time on your hands, it's worth it. And the reason why I say that is because if you don't actually buy this Elena's Blessing monthly subscription, you are limited to 60-ish, 50-ish repeat battles a day, depending on your level. And by buying this, you kind of like 7x it. You get 300 more. So yeah, that's why it's pretty hard for free to plays, but just know that the first bundle is always worth it. The second bundle is also like pretty much always worth it as long as you have enough time. And if you have enough fodder to make back the rubies. But the first one for sure, you're going to want to buy from the shop. So I'll just show you the setup and I'll explain what the fodder actually is used for after it. But basically, if you go into an adventure mode, right, and you're going to see I'm at 11-1 because it's what I want to farm. If I go to repeat battle here, it's all going to be set up. So what you want to do is make sure your fodder that you're bringing is the replacement target. And then whatever farmer you're using, you want to prio their skills. This will make sure that they use it on the first and second wave and one-shot both. You're also going to want to make sure that, your DPS or whatever you're using is not being auto-replaced, obviously, and you want to switch in the highest rank first. This is going to make it so that you can actually level up all of your legendary characters. And then basically, you're also going to want to auto-replace all star ranks because you just want to replace everything. It's not really going to make sense to only replace certain star levels. And then you just want to make sure your DPS is in the slot where in the formation you are getting the most damage. So here, I'm actually not getting as much damage as I can. So what you're going to want to do is in this setup, this is going to be pretty much the formation for fodder farming and ruby farming, is you want to max this out because it just gives you the most damage. So it'll make it easier for you to actually one-shot, because if you look at this formation here, you get 32.4. This one you only get 16.2 because it gets split, and you can kind of see. So you want to make sure this protective formation is maxed out for your ruby farming. On top of that, you can set up how you want the ruby farming to go, how many stages. You want to make sure you're using your key bundles so you don't have to keep opening it. And ending the repeat battle upon losing a match, it's really up to you. I like to have it on. You don't need to have it on because you might end up losing like 1 out of like 50 and then you only lose 1 key. So turning it off is fine. Accelerated mode on 2x, you want that on. And auto selling equipment, you can set this all up. Basically, I can sell like all this and it's fine as well. And I'll show you guys the repeat battle now. So you just press start farming battle and you'll see that with this setup, my Tio, who's my farmer, is going to one-shot the first wave. And then the second wave, because we have the skill priority on, he's going to kill the second wave here. You can see that's how it is. And then the run ends, you're going to get like gold and stuff like that. Sometimes you get fodder drops. You can see characters are leveling up. One of them maxed out, the slime here, and you're going to see that it gets automatically replaced out. You can see there's no slime now, and it just keeps leveling up fodder that way. And you can stop it by queuing it up. You can end it now, which will lose you a key. and you can also minimize it, right? So this is pretty much the core gameplay loop for ruby farming. You're gonna want to have this in the background when you're not playing the game pretty much like all the time. But you can keep in mind, like, you can store up to a lot of runs, especially if you buy that monthly pack, which is not really required, but I do recommend it if you do plan to play the game seriously, because yeah, it is going to allow you to farm a lot more and a lot more easily, right? You're not gonna have to check your phone as much. Now, in terms of the fodder, I'm gonna talk about the fodder system a lot more in depth in a separate video, but the reason why everyone says to farm fodder, and it's probably like really confusing, because what are you gonna do with this fodder, right? What are you gonna do with it, right? But it's really important for powering up your characters. What I mean by that is, essentially, you're going to be leveling all of the fodder you have that you get from the game from 3 stars to 6 stars, right? So the way you do this is by, maxing out one of these 3 stars here. For example, if you're gonna do this, by the way, I recommend setting it up so that you only do it with max level only, which I'll talk about, because if you don't use max level characters, you're losing rubies because you're not maxing them out in the fodder farming to get the quest done. But basically, you're going to be leveling up, to 5, and then what you want to be doing is fusing them. So once you have 2 of the same star level characters, and then you fuse them, which I'll show you once I get this all done, basically what ends up happening is they go up a tier. Now, there's also going to be a chance where you can actually get a lot of characters. So if I press auto add, this is not going to work. You'll see if you click fusion rates here, by fusing 3-star characters, you have a chance to get a legendary character. So by doing this, you are basically summoning at the same time without spending rubies. So you're making rubies back from ruby farming, but you're also getting summons through the fusing process. And if you fuse 4-star characters, right, you get even a higher chance, and 5-star, even a higher chance. And there's also a pity system, which is a great deal, right? There's a pity system for the guaranteed fusion characters. So yeah, and you get one of the really OP characters, the Knights of the Old. So by fusing here, you can see that we turn 2 3-star characters after you enhance them into a 4-star. And then you just keep going like into this process, and by doing this, you will be able to get 5-star fodders, and then into 6-star, and then stuff like that. You just have to keep going back and just like enhancing them. Now, there are a lot of rare characters that aren't really used that you can use as fodder right away, and you don't have to hold, which I'll talk about in my next video talking about fusing. But basically, you're just kind of, you can see this slime is a level 35-star. I would just max this out and then fuse it with another 5-star, and then you'll be able to get a chance at a character. Now, the reason why you're aiming for 6 stars, you're probably thinking, oh, what's the point of getting it to 6 stars, right? Or what do you do with it after you get to 6 stars, after you fuse it? Well, one, if it ends up being a good character, you can just use that character. For example, if I can find it, it's not seen right here, but there is a character I got to 6-star that I ended up just using right away. So it was, I think it was this character here. Oh yeah, Karin. So Karin was the result of me just fusing 5-star fodder. And even though she's not like a top tier character, I actually use her a lot because she has a lot of healing and reviving, which is like really cheesy in a lot of the boss stages. You can get some of these characters right away at 6-star for free without having to use your particles, which is like a great way to actually just jumpstart your account because these characters, especially the rare ones if you get them, are very strong. Now, if you end up getting a bad one, which is going to happen a lot, or a character you don't want to use, you can do something called Ultimate Fusion. So Ultimate Fusion, you can see here, if you actually put in a 6-star fodder, I actually can't show you the interface entirely because I don't have one in my inventory. What you can actually do is put the fodder in and you can unlock one of these 2 inventory slots. So if you actually like look at your gear and you notice, oh, I can only equip 2 pieces and there's 4 set bonuses. How do I get that 4 set, right? Well, you'll see, Karin, this character isn't ultimate enhanced, ultimate ascended, ultimate enhanced, but basically like my Tio and my Rachel are, they unlock the 2 slots. And the way you do that is by using this ultimate enhancement feature. So yeah, you just put in a character, preferably a character you use like everywhere, then you put in that 6-star fodder that you farmed up for by ruby farming, and you'll be able to unlock 1 gear slot, and you do it again and you unlock the second one, and then you can start equipping that 4-slot 4-piece matrix set effect for your character, which is very important. So that's like the ultimate endgame goal for doing this fodder farming and fusing everything together to unlock your equipment spots. And also on the way, you're getting a ton of chances to get these legendary characters. And you're also able to get, you know, even if you don't get the legendary characters, say like I pull like extra dupes of like Yui or Evan, you can just use that as fodder to transcend. So I do think my Evan, if I can find him, actually got a dupe. Yeah, you can see that my Evan did end up getting dupes. So you can actually end up using these dupes to, you know, transcend them even quicker, so that you're able to, you know, get to their big powerful abilities. But yeah, that's like my kind of simpler guide on ruby farming and why you want to do it and what you're doing for it. A lot of people just are doing ruby farming and they're like, wait, why are we doing ruby farming? Why is everyone saying to do ruby farming? I don't know why I'm doing this. But I just kind of wanted to explain to you, you know, how to set it up, what it is, why you're doing it, and I'll talk more about fusing and, you know, some strategies for fusing in a video probably tomorrow or the day after, so not too long, because I do want to upload more content on this game because I know a lot of people are struggling with just kind of understanding the basics, because this game is pretty complicated compared to other games, especially for new players, because they kind of just throw everything out at you, and because like this game is a remake of an old game, a lot of people are just saying a lot of slang and words that people don't know. So I'll be helping you guys out in the near future. But yeah, thank you for watching. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next video.